chair of Parliament's Committee on International Relations and Cooperation, Supra Mahumapelo, saying he's worried about the situation in Ukraine. He wants an urgent diplomatic solution to be found. At the moment, we understand Russian and Ukrainian negotiators are supposed to be in a meeting on the border between Ukraine and Belarus. Russia has invaded Ukraine, saying it wants to denazify that country and its government. That's led to a huge reaction from Western countries. Well, Supra Mahumapelo joins us now. Mr. Mahumapelo, good afternoon to you. What are you calling for here?
Yeah, good afternoon, Stephen Grotes, and good afternoon to Newzroom viewers.
Thank you for your time. What are you calling for here? What do you believe should happen in Ukraine?
Well, as the Portfolio Committee on International Relations, our call to the South African government, as you know, Portfolio Committee of Parliament's responsibility is to do oversight on the executive. So our call is that the South African government at various levels should be engaging and must continue to engage the Russian president and the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, and President Putin. For instance, we are saying that President Ramaphosa should directly pick up a phone and speak to both presidents separately so that South Africa, we can make a contribution towards a discussion that will lead to what the President Ramaphosa has said is a necessary process that will result in mediation, and mediation that will bring about peace. Secondly, as the Portfolio Committee, we are calling for cooperation to exist between the efforts which are being initiated by DERCO through the ambassador, Grunewald, in Ukraine, and everybody else who are trying to help South Africans, Nigerians, and Indians who must cross over from Ukraine into other countries for safety. For instance, we are angered as the Portfolio Committee by reports we are receiving alleging that Ukraine soldiers are discriminating against Africans there and the Indians who come from India who are trying to cross over to Poland, because that's racism, and you can't use the situation of a war to then practice racism. And we hope that South Africa will take up this allegation with the Ukrainian government. Our Portfolio Committee says the third thing is for South Africa to make sure that peaceful situation exists, and it must be brought about by unending processes of negotiation, whether it comes from multilateral organizations that we are a signatory to or bilateral relations, but there has to be that intensification. And we hope that our country can also call for NATO countries not to fuel the situation by saying that arms must be taken up. We hope that that can be engaged upon and indicate to the powerful countries to say, you can't, when there is a war, also send weapons and soldiers to engage in a war. You must rather invest your resources in engaging in peace and convincing everybody else to bring about a peaceful situation.
As I understand your statement, you also say that you believe very strongly there should be respect for the territorial integrity of nation states. What do you mean by that?
Well, what we mean is that based on the negotiations that will take place, there must be a respect of the outcome that will be based on territorial agreements that will be made there. So we do not, as the Portfolio Committee wants to say, whether Ukraine or part of Ukraine must be part of Russia and otherwise. We are saying whatever agreement that will emerge must respect territorial independence so that all of us can then respect whatever agreement that will be made. I'll make an example. Here in Africa, there was a situation in Sudan where we had 53 countries in the African continent, and today we have got 54 countries because there were negotiations that led to the establishment of the 54th country. So we hope that whatever negotiations that are taking place, either way, if they result in the territories being amended and so on, it has to be respected.
Do you believe then that Russia should not have invaded Ukraine?
I lost you there, Scrotus.
Do you believe then that Russia should not have invaded Ukraine?
We do not have a position, and we are not going to have a position on whether Russia is wrong or Ukraine is wrong. What we are calling for is for us not to take sides, but for us to make sure that all parties are engaged so that there can be peace and people can live side by side in peace, and when there is peace, there will be prosperity.
So let me put the question another way. Do you want Russia to withdraw its forces, its army, its soldiers from Ukraine?
That is not our position. I was talking to Minister Pando this morning about the statement of the department that was issued some days ago. And that is something that must be discussed between the department and the presidency. We do not think that we must make such a call as the portfolio committee. We are not, it's not our place. We don't have powers to make such a call. What we are saying is that we are supporting all the efforts by the South African government to bring about peace, and there must be engagement, and nobody must run out of patience to make sure that engagements take place like the ones that are taking place today. We hope that they will result in some progress going forward. So we are not pointing fingers at anyone.
Okay, so do you support the statement from Minister Dr. Pandor last week or not?
We support the statement in as far as calling for negotiated settlement is concerned, calling for peace, calling for reconciliation. The part that talks about Russia being called upon to withdraw their forces from Ukraine, in my discussion with the minister this morning, we agreed that that matter will be left between the presidency and the ministry. And as soon as that matter is sorted out, we will be updated accordingly.
Okay, so there's one country, Russia, which has invaded another country through force of arms, Ukraine. No one believes that Ukraine poses a military threat to Russia. Ukraine did not invade Russia. Ukraine did not send armed people across the border into Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. Why is that not wrong?
You are saying so, Stephen. I'm not saying so. And I'm not an analyst. I am a member of parliament whose responsibility is to ensure effective oversight. And what we are calling for is for peace to prevail, is for the executive arm of the state of South Africa to make sure that those engagements take place and they must result in peace. South Africans who want to cross over from Ukraine to whoever, they must be allowed to live Ukraine in peace. Nobody must be harmed. So it's not our place as the portfolio committee to blame either party. So we are not going to make that call at all as the portfolio committee.
But I mean, as the ANC, as the International Relations Portfolio Committee, I'm sure you would have had no problem saying that the US invasion of Iraq 10 years ago was wrong. Why is this invasion not wrong? And I realize, Mr. Mahumapelo, that when it comes to matters of international relations, morality sometimes has nothing to do with it. I understand that. But do you understand why some people are going to look at the statement and think, well, one group of armed people crossed a border into another country? It's either wrong or it's not. You're saying it's not wrong?
Well, as I have said, I'm going to reiterate our position. It is not the responsibility of the Portfolio Committee on International Relations to point a finger at anyone. What we want to see is protracted process of engagements which must result in peace prevailing in that part of the world. So when that peace has been achieved, everybody can then live side by side in peace so that there can be prosperity. We await in eager the outcome of the discussions that are taking place today, and we hope that the security-related United Nations Security Council-related meetings which are taking place, including NATO with its engagements, all those engagements, they must not result in repulsion, but they must result in cooperation which will bring about peace in that part of the world.
Mr. Mahumapelo, sir, I really appreciate the time today on Newsfeed. I had to push you. Thank you very much indeed. Supra Mahumapelo is the chair of the Standing Parliamentary Committee, the Portfolio Committee rather, on International Relations and Cooperation.